Hey, what's up? It's Jordan Hardison, CEO of aio.church. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to take a second and show you what I believe is the best way to code with Claude Code. I think this is the absolute best way to do it. I've been using Claude Code for a long time now. I've been using a lot of different AI vibe coding tools. I've used Cursor, I've used Windsurf, I've used all these different tools. In fact, I started on Windsurf and I was using Claude Code in the terminal of Windsurf, and then I was using the Claude Code plugin with Windsurf, but I kept running into limitations. And today I want to show you what I believe is the absolute best way that you can code with Claude Code currently available, and it just got released. So a little backstory. We are working on a product called aio.church, and I've been working on this product for quite a long time now. It's a huge CMS project, and that's going to be all in another video. But what I want to tell you is that as we were working on aio.church, I found that it was becoming difficult to keep up with what was going on. We wanted to be able to develop extremely rapidly. And the problem is all of these tools and the way that we have developed up until this point, it's a slow process. And now with AI coding, the process is so fast that it's difficult for multiple developers to keep up with it. So what I ended up doing is I ended up deciding to build my own tool to use with Claude Code that would speed up this process. Now, the plan was not for this to be publicly available, but the more it became used, it became evident that we need to share this with people. So I want to show you what I've got going on right now, and it's called aio.dev. aio.dev. And so here's what it is. I want to show you a little bit about how it works. The first thing that I'm going to do in here is I'm going to jump in and I'm going to create a new project. So to do that, I'm going to go into New Project. We'll click Continue, and then I'll do Create New. And for this, I'm going to call it New Test Project. And then I'm going to choose where I want to put it. I'll put it right here in this folder, and I'm going to do Continue. So right here, the first thing is I can assign it immediately to a GitHub repo, but I'm not going to do that right now, so I'm going to leave it just like this and click Create Project. Now, when I click Home, that's going to take me into the root of the project. The next thing I want to show you is that we are connected to Claude Code right here. We're not hacking the OAuth. We're not doing anything like that. We're just going into the CLI, and this is the Orchestrator. And so the Orchestrator has a ton of different tools that it can do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it what I want to build. So I want to build a fully loaded CRM that is generic. There needs to be a public landing page, back-end CMS with customer management, product tracking, inventory tracking, sales tracking. It's basically an e-commerce with blogs, etc. So now this is something you may be familiar with in Claude Code already. So Claude Code is very, very good at taking some information and building an awesome product with it. But I'm going to give it a little bit more information. So when I go in here, I'm going to say vanilla CSS only, no tailwinds, PostgreSQL, raw SQL only, Next.js, TypeScript. Right? So I'm going to put all this in, and now I'm going to click, before I do that, I'm going to tell it, set up the project plan, document, environments, full setup. Now what I'm also going to tell it is, don't provision any servers yet. I'll say any droplets yet. Use the local Docker container for Postgre. So this is some information here, and I'll show you why I was kind of coding it specifically like that. So I'm going to go ahead and let this get going. And what you're going to see is this Orchestrator is going to begin the process. Now, in this particular IDE, first thing I want to say, this is not a fork of VS Code. This is not a fork of VS Code. It's a completely custom-built project. Now, I want to show you a few things that's going to happen here. So the first thing is that the Orchestrator is going to be able to produce multiple threads. I want to start by going over here to plan. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to jump into plan, which is right here, and it's going to begin documenting everything we said. So it can create documents, it's going to set up the architecture, it's going to put up ideas, it's going to create technical debt. From there, it's going to create goals and then steps for those goals in order to complete the entire process. So to build the entire CMS, it's going to go in, it's going to create all of the goals, it's going to create all of the steps and everything that's needed to do it, right? that's kind of here in the plan. And while that's working, I'm going to show you a little bit more about what's going on. And so what it's able to do is it's able to create multiple threads. So threads are conversations. It can go in and it can tell particular threads what to do. So this is something that's super, super important with your vibe coding projects. When you are vibe coding, you want to use threads. So you want to use continuous conversations, set up multiple conversations, and each conversation needs to be about a particular topic or feature within whatever you're trying to build. And so what this orchestrator is going to do is it's going to set up multiple conversations, and it's going to kick off multiple Claude Code projects where it's going into each step of this feature of the CMS that it's going to begin building. Now, while it's working on plans, I want to show you a little bit more about what's going on here in the IDE. The first thing I'll do is I'll jump into settings. Now, this is kind of contested, so we can talk about whether you should do this, shouldn't do this. We believe we've done it in a safe way, but what this lets you do is it lets you connect your IDE to GitHub, to Cloudflare. We can do Backblaze B2. You can do Spaces for DigitalOcean or AWS. DigitalOcean is how we host all of our projects through DigitalOcean Droplets. So we have a DigitalOcean connection here, of course, AWS, and then the Ray platform, which is something we'll talk about a little bit more later. By the way, the IDE not only supports Claude Code, but it also supports Codex and Gemini. So there's a lot of different ways to use this IDE. So because it has all that information, it's able to just get to work here, working on the project. Of course, we have a code view. So as it begins coding, it's going to come in here and it's going to show us our code editor as well as our Explorer on the left side there. We do have a built-in browser, and so this is something we're still working on, but this is a browser that it allows the IDE to open up a browser. And then what's super cool about this, if you've ever used Figma, you can actually drop comments on DOM elements within the site, and then you can reference those to the orchestrator, so the orchestrator can look at a specific change that you want to make on the site and then continue. We have a direct database connection, so you don't have to use a separate database tool. Everything's built right into the IDE. You can connect to MySQL, SQLite, you can connect to PostgreSQL. And then we also have a deploy process built directly into the system. And what's cool about this is once it actually gets done setting up our environments, right, it's going to go in and it's going to write the deploy script for that particular environment. So it can provision the DigitalOcean droplet, and then it can write the deploy script directly here within the IDE so that you can actually select whether you're deploying to your staging environment or to a local environment or to your production environment. And then you can hit deploy, and then it's going to run it. And then, of course, we have Git management as well. Now, while it's still working on this, I'm going to show you just a few more things that's going on. One thing that we have is rules. And so what this allows us to do is it allows us to go in and set global rules. And what that will do is it will send all of those rules in every single prompt. So every time you send Claude Code a prompt, it's going to add these rules to it. Global is for all of your projects, and then project-specific rules are going to be for this particular project. The other thing we have built into the IDE, which is separate from Claude Code skills, is our own skills. And so with skills, we can go in and we can create skills. And the nice thing about it is when you're creating a skill, it's actually using Claude Code to help you create that skill. So you tell Claude Code what you want the skill to be, and then it's going to go in and it's going to create the skill and put it there. The cool thing is that the orchestrator or you manually can actually assign that particular skill to a particular thread. And so you can take a skill, you can attach it to a thread. So if your thread is directly working on front end, then that will attach the skill there, and then we'll be able to continue. So let's see what we've got going on here and what got started. I'm going to quick pause, go over to planning. So what it did, system architecture. So it set up the system architecture, wrote it all out, Next.js, vanilla CSS, Postgre, using Docker. This is all looking good. Created a database schema reference. That's awesome. We have a local dev setup guide and then feature specs. So one of the things that it's actually going to do too is once we get going on the project here, it's going to actually set up your local environment so that you can just hit play and it's going to launch the local environment. So I'm going to say, I'm going to jump in here and I'll say, awesome, start building. Now, one of the cool things that this can do as well, as far as an IDE goes, is you can jump in and you can launch a terminal, which is to be expected for any IDE. But you can also go in and you can add plugins. So this is where you can go in and add additional MCP servers into the system. you do have a little help here. This is to set it up. So currently what you need to do to use this is that you're going to go in, you're going to download Claude Code, and then you're going to subscribe, or you're going to sign up to your Claude account. So again, we're not hacking the OAuth. We're using it just like as if you were to use Claude Code CLI in a terminal and a normal IDE. It's working the same way. So you're going to set up that, make sure you have Claude Code, and then of course we have a light and dark mode. But continuing on here, this is getting started with threads. So I'm going to open up a chat panel, and we can see that this is a thread that it actually already started. So if you don't want to use the orchestrator and you want to set up all your own chat panels, you can do that by going up here and clicking Add Chat Panel right here. We can choose Claude, Ray, which is our own coding agent that's coming out soon, and then we have Codex and we have Gemini. The yellow means that that thread is actually being worked on currently right now. So we can go in and we can see what's going on. These are instructions that were sent from the orchestrator, and then that's going to begin populating and start working on the project here. You can see multiple threads are going now. Now, while that's working, I want to show you another really, really cool part about this IDE. Of course, we've all been inspired by OpenClaw. Now, the thing about OpenClaw, we've been working on something similar to OpenClaw for a really long time now in the church in a way that's completely safe. And so what we've done is we've already integrated some of this into the IDE. So when you go to the command center, you can jump over to the command center, and you're going to see a couple things happening. One is going to be the Kanban. So you have the to-do, and you have in progress, and you have done. So this particular chat right now, this orchestrator, it's assigned tasks, and it's actually in progress working on those tasks, and you can see it right here. These are the tasks that it's actually working on. So one person that I really love listening to on YouTube is going to be Alex Fenn. So if you don't know him, go check out his channel. It's awesome. He is the OpenClaw guru. It's incredible. I've used OpenClaw. I've used it quite a bit, but I'm more excited about what we're building right now that I believe is going to be possibly even more powerful than OpenClaw one day if all things go right. But to give you an idea here, it's actually creating a to-do task. It's putting it to in progress when it's working on it, and when it's done, it's going to move it over to the done, and then we can see threads. These are all of the current running threads. Now, the cool thing that this can also do is we can set up automations. And so automations are like cron jobs. So we can go in and we can say, set up an automation to check the progress of the app every 5 minutes. So what it's going to do is it's going to go in and it's actually going to set an automation so that it goes in and it checks the progress every single 5 minutes and gives us a progress report. You can see that some of these tasks are going from in progress to done. And then I can go over here and I can control the permissions. And so when I jump in here to permissions, I can jump in and I can activate this permission. And what that's going to do is that's going to say that whenever a thread is done, it's going to report back to the orchestrator, letting it know that it's done so that it knows that it can actually continue forward. Awesome. And then I'm going to go over here to plan, and in plan mode, we can actually see all of these different goals that are set up within the project. So we come over here to goal, we can expand that goal, and then in that goal, we're going to see multiple steps. So these are all of the different steps of the goal. A couple things here, we have these buttons that reference the orchestrator. So we can click this at any time. It's going to basically at the orchestrator, letting the orchestrator know what you're trying to do in that moment. But as it works through these goals, it's going to complete these goals step by step and then mark them complete when they're done. So now, kind of putting this all together, I want to take a second and say that I know that IDEs have already been built. I know that the concept of an IDE is not new. But what I do think is new is an IDE that is built perfectly and from the ground up for AI coding. So even if you take VS Code and you fork it, it's not the same thing as building an IDE from the ground up for AI coding. And so I believe that this particular IDE right now is the absolute best and fastest way to code with Claude Code. The great thing about this, I'll give you a real world example, right? So we have a new project from a client that's coming in, and we are working on creating the proposal for that client. And to do that, we're using AIO Assist, which is a different product that I'm going to show you a later time. But basically, we are setting up the proposal. Now, the client wanted a pretty extensive CMS. The cool thing about this is that using this IDE, we were able to actually have a meeting with the client. We could jump in, go into transcribe mode. So we could go on the meeting with the client, transcribing all the things that the client needed. We were then able to take all of that information, all of that transcribe, and the orchestrator from that moment was able to create the entire plan just from that meeting. So it was able to listen to the entire plan, create the whole plan, and then the orchestrator was able to actually execute. And it did it so quickly that we were almost completely done with the entire CRM. And I'm talking about a public-facing page. I'm talking about all of the backend CMS. I'm talking about it was an e-commerce system, projects with cost of goods sold, everything built in. We implemented Stripe, implemented Resend, all of it completely built in, ready to go. And we were able to do it almost faster than we could actually send the proposal. We finally got the proposal sent. The customer agreed to the proposal, and we were ready to show them the first MVP of the product the moment that they actually paid for the product. And that is completely game-changing. Maybe there's an IDE out there that can do that, but I have not experienced one yet. I'm really curious to know what you think about aio.dev. Again, this was a tool that we built for in-house, for real enterprise development. We built it for in-house. And it was so incredible. We started to tell people about it, and people wanted to know more about it. So we have made it available. It is available at dev.aio.church. Dev.aio.church. It's on market for just $5 a month. You can check it out and use it. It's incredible. $5 a month, and you have a 7-day free trial. So I want to know what you think about our IDE, and do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. I can't wait to talk with you more about what we've got in the future for AIO and the entire ecosystem. Thanks.